Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for clicking onto this one. I hope you really enjoy it. I thought I would do a bit of a November reading wrap up. So essentially, I've seen a few people do these for a bit of bookish content, and I do really enjoy them. I wasn't ever really intending to do this kind of style video. However, I have realised, or kind of just come to the realisation that for me, reading vlogs in terms of vlogging while I'm reading along to a book, it's kind of quite boring because the majority of the time that I'm reading, it's on my commute to work. I just really don't have a chance to actually talk to you about what's going on, to actually film myself reading, to actually get my reactions. And that's not to say I'm never going to do a reading vlog again. I might still do the odd one depending what the book is. But yeah, but I still want to get you a bit of bookish content because I absolutely love reading so much. So I thought this might be the way forward, to do a bit of a monthly wrap up instead, and I can talk through what I've been reading and let you know my thoughts. Also, just noticed my hands in the camera. Apologies for doing this. I've just put some hand cream on, and you know when it's still like got the residue, just trying to still rub some of it in. But anyway, yeah, like I say, do a bit of a November reading wrap up. Potentially, I might choose my December TBR as well and go through that with you. That will literally just be dependent on how long this video ends up being, how long it takes me to talk through the November books. So it'll either be split into two separate videos. Anyway, let's stop talking, so let's stop yapping and get on with the actual content of the video. So thank you so much again for clicking on. I really hope you enjoy this. And the first book that I read in November was The Familiar. This is by Leigh Bardugo. I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce any of these authors' names, so apologies if I am butchering it. Obviously do not mean to. Yeah, I read this one in the first week of November. I'd been really hoping and had been planning to read it in October because just like, what a Halloweeny vibe kind of book. So you can also now see, because of my hand cream, I'm getting marks on it, so hopefully I can get that off. Probably a bad idea to put hand cream on before I start handling my books. But anyway, yeah, it just gave me such Halloweeny vibes. And I did really want to read it that week going into Halloween. What was I reading? I think I was reading When the Moon Hatched still. Off the top of my head, I could be wrong. I think I was still reading this. It was a lot chunkier than I expected it to be. That's when I'd roughly been trying to plan out my timings for how long it's going to read each book for. Anyway, I didn't have time to read this before Halloween, so I got onto it on the first week of November because in my head it just screamed Halloween. Yeah, I didn't want to wait until next October. So what I thought I'd do for all the books is read the blurb, just in case you've not read it yet. Also for me, I do hold my hands up and say I am quite bad at remembering books like a couple weeks later. I think I get so immersed in the universe, into the book, and then once I'm into another book, I'm so immersed in that one, I almost, not like fully forget, but I just can't get it off the top of my head. I need like a bit of a reminder, a bit of a refresh for me to get back into that world and realise, yeah, what was going on. So, The Familiar. A woman's ambition can prove deadly. In a shabby house in the new capital of Madrid, a lowly kitchen servant hides a gift for little miracles. But when her employer discovers Lucia Cortado's secret talent, she demands the scullion perform her illusions to win over the royal court. Determined to forge a better life for herself, Lucia plunges into a world of power-hungry nobility, desperate kings, holy men and hucksters, where the lines between magic, science and fraud blur. With the pyres of the Inquisition burning, she must use every bit of her wit and will to win fame and hide the truth of her ancestry, even if that means enlisting the help of the notorious Julian Santangel. Santangel? Again, if I'm getting these pronunciations, don't judge me. An embittered immortal familiar whose own secrets could doom them both. So, yeah, this one, I was so excited because I love Leigh Bardugo's books. The other ones that I've read, so obviously all of kind of the Shadow and Bone, Six of Crows, King of Scars, Ninth House, which I read last year, absolutely brilliant. And sadly this for me wasn't quite up there with those. Don't get me wrong, I still really thoroughly enjoyed it. I think I pinned so much excitement and so much hope on it and so much expectation, and it just didn't quite live up to it, unfortunately. I don't want to give any spoilers. I'm going to try my best not to, for anyone that's not read any of these books. But yeah, I think there was just parts where I don't know if it was the writing or whether it was my own fault, whether I kept zoning out and not paying full attention, but I just get to another chapter and be like, how have we got here? How is this like, why are we suddenly now at this, like, what's going on? And I just was so confused. It was also set in Spain, and there was a lot of foreign names, a lot of Spanish names, and I was just struggling to keep track of characters, who was who. And I was just, I'm not gonna lie guys, I just got a bit confused and overwhelmed with what was happening. Also, just the storyline kind of didn't make sense to me, because from what I understood going into it, magic was frowned upon. But then all of a sudden, like, I don't know, she wasn't like, she was doing her magic and just no one cared. I feel like there was all this like fear of like, oh, they can't find out who I am. But then she was just openly doing her magic in front of the royals, and I don't know, maybe I just didn't get it. I struggled to get into it, if I'm being honest. I read the whole thing, but I just, like I say, I think I kept zoning out. I think maybe the chapters were a bit long. I mean, they're not really long. I'm just flicking through a couple of them now. Yeah, they're really not long chapters, actually. I don't know what it was, but it's not to say don't read it. It was still a really interesting story. Not really read anything quite like it before. And again, I just love the way that Lee writes these books. Personally, it would be kind of the bottom of the pile for me of the ones I've read so far. So if you've not read any of her other work, I would highly recommend getting into those first. But yeah, The Familiar. I haven't really done book ratings before, actually. And I wasn't planning to, but should I try and like off the bat do these? Make a note of them somewhere. Let's do it. Okay, we're gonna rate. And as well, this is going off of the top of my head of memory of how I felt. I probably need, if I'm gonna do this, I need to start doing it after I finish reading a book. Anyway, The Familiar, if we're going on a 5 being the best, maybe a 3.5. I probably need to figure out exactly what my ratings mean, but I don't necessarily think it's one at least I won't reach to read it again. I might read it again at some point, and I wouldn't be opposed to doing that, especially if it's to try and give it another chance, see if it was just my mindset at the time, that my headspace, I couldn't get into it. So it's really not that it was bad. I think for me, below a 3 would be, I'm not recommending it, I wouldn't ever read it again. This is I would read it again, but I'm not in any rush for it. It didn't really have much of an impact on me. Yeah, I think we'll go 3.5. I might change these ratings. Anyway, after The Familiar, my next book I actually don't have with me because I lent it to a friend at work. If I can figure out the technology and figure out, I'll try and pop like a picture of the book up here somewhere. But yeah, I went into reading then Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. I have had that one on my shelf for a few weeks, and it kind of ties into what I was just saying about The Familiar and the place I was in. I think because When the Moon Hatched took me so much longer than I expected, then I jumped into this other fantasy. I think I just needed a palette cleanser, a little refresh, something completely different to what those books were. And I thought that was the perfect time to reach for Out on a Limb. Also, in terms of the time of year, November, it just gave all cozy festive vibes in terms of the front cover literally had them in their like snuggly winter jumpers. Yeah, and it really truly lived up to what I needed. It was everything that I wanted at that point. It was cozy and just such a beautiful story, guys, such a beautiful story. The writing, I don't know, everything about it I just really liked. It was fast paced, it was funny. Oh my god, so funny, guys. That I just remembered about that. So funny. I obviously don't have the blurb to read for you, but kind of a rough overview again without giving too many spoilers, is that the main character, I can't remember their names off the top of my head, that's really bad, but the main female character has a hand deformity. I believe that is the right terminology these days, please excuse me if it's not. But yeah, she was born with a hand deformity that she's obviously lived with her whole life. And then she meets someone at a Halloween party, which again is why it was the perfect time of year, because this was literally the second week of November, I think, so we just had Halloween. Anyway, she meets someone at a Halloween party who he has an amputated leg, which is a more recent amputation. He has only had that quite recently. Anyway, the premise is that it is an accidental pregnancy. They have a one-night stand, and yeah, I say I don't want to spoil it, I think it's quite obvious what's going to happen. She decides to keep the baby. What I did really appreciate in this book is it did touch on her considering her options, and it talked about those options, it talked about abortion, and it was very raw and honest about those topics and the character's decision on that and what fed into that. And just the way that that was written was, yeah, just so nice. Like I said, it was raw, it was honest and heartfelt, and honestly guys, it was a bit emotional really, this book, even though there was nothing. I think some of the reviews of it called it boring because there's no real drama. No, there's no high stakes, there's nothing that you'd really call gripping, but there was something about my investment in the characters and the attachment I felt to those characters that I just wanted to keep picking up. I just wanted more. I was so sad when it was over. And yeah, it was just a beautiful story about love, learning to love, and yeah, I don't know if I have much more to say on it other than, yeah, would highly recommend it. It's just what I needed. And again, my friend at work that I gave it to, she's been in a bit of a reading rut at the moment, and she asked what I'd been reading, and I had that with me at the time, and I literally had 10 pages left. I was like, give me 10 minutes, I'll give it to you at the end of my lunch break. She then took that to read, and I saw her this week. She didn't have it with her to give back to me, but we were on the bus together, and she was there reading a different book, and I was like, oh, are you out of your reading rut now then? Have you managed to get out of it? And she was like, yeah, Out on a Limb did it. So apparently it's just the book that solves any headspace issues with reading. Yeah, highly recommend that one. 100% without a doubt is a 5-star. Obviously 5 stars are kind of on different scales, so for that genre of book it is a 5-star, obviously compared to some other high stakes fantasies that might be 5-star. Do you know what I mean? It's slightly different in terms of within that genre. That's my rating, because although I have other books that I probably loved so much more, I wouldn't want to discredit how lovely this book was. So I hope that makes sense. On to the next one. This one as well was so good. I feel like Out on a Limb and this next book made November for me. So the book that I read after Out on a Limb was The Prison Healer. This is by Lynette Noni, and it was absolutely brilliant. So the blurb on this one. Kiva Meriden is a survivor. After 10 years of working as the healer in the notorious death prison, Zalindov, she has only one goal: stay alive. But then the rebel queen arrives at the prison on death's door, and Kiva receives a message: don't let her die, we are coming. When the queen is sentenced to a series of impossible elemental challenges, Kiva volunteers to take her place. If she succeeds, both she and the queen will be granted their freedom. but no one has ever survived. With an incurable plague sweeping Zalindov, a mysterious new inmate fighting for Kiva's heart, and a prison rebellion brewing, Kiva can't escape the terrible feeling that her trials have only just begun. And then it says, perfect for fans of Sarah J Maas and Sabata here. I don't think I've read anything of hers, but obviously it's Sarah J Maas. We know. So, highly, highly, highly recommend this, guys. Just going to put that out there before I've even spoken about it. Read this book. This was so good. Yet again, so fast paced. Literally from like page 1, I just felt like I was in that world. This will now sound weird, but hopefully some of you will get what I mean. I was dreaming about it. My mind was wandering in the day at work, thinking about it. Just wandering, I suppose any day, like even weekends while I was doing my chores, thinking about this book, thinking about the world, what was going to happen, what's going on. Again, trying to keep it spoiler free. I can't really say too much about why. But there was obviously just something about the writing that again got me attached and invested in these characters' stories and with what was going to happen. And oh, it was just so good. I haven't felt this way about like a book in a long time, in terms of just how, oh, I've lost the word. I don't mean obsessed, as a different word and my brain has gone completely blank. But just like my day to day, I'm consumed. I was like all consumed by this book, that's what I meant. And what I didn't know, because I didn't do any research into this, I just saw a couple of other people talk about it. Like it was on other people's TBR that I watched on YouTube. I saw it in Waterstones and I thought, oh, I've seen that one talked about. Read the blurb, I was like, yeah, cool, sounds good, got it. And I should have done my research because this is part of a trilogy, guys. You probably already know that, and I was just completely naive and dumb. And the way that this book ends, I needed the next book. The fact I didn't have the next book sent me into a massive spiral. I still don't have them. Hopefully I'm getting them, well, I say hopefully, I know I'm getting them for Christmas, because I was spiraling so hard that James was sat next to me and ordered them for me and was like, it can be an extra Christmas present because you're literally having a mental breakdown right now, so to stop you having this, I will buy them. So bless him. Truly, truly spoiled, and I'm now counting down the days to December, well, not to December, to Christmas Day, to get those books. So whenever I do my December TBR, you better already know the next books will be in there. At least book 2, I imagine I'll start before the end of December, but it'll probably run into January. Read this book, guys. Read this book. Another absolute 5-star, no doubt about it. Which then brings me to the final book of November. I then picked up Throne of the Fallen. So this one is by Kerry Maniscalco. And if you've read any of her other stuff, again, Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy, really, really enjoyed that one. And this is kind of a follow-on. So Kingdom of the Wicked is its own kind of standalone trilogy, but it follows one of the princes of hell. And there are 7 princes of hell in this universe, each of them ruling over a different sin. So Kingdom of the Wicked was the Prince of Wrath. And yeah, kind of that storyline. Kerry is now doing, or at least from what I have heard, a book for each prince. So this one is the Prince of Envy's story. So he obviously features in the trilogy, but this is the one dedicated to him and a bit of his storyline. It is in the future from there, so you get a bit of crossover of some characters again. But this one, I actually have a blurb. Yeah, it's weird because the blurb's inside on this one rather than on the back. But the back says, she didn't want the prince, she wanted the demon. That's all it says on the back. And the blurb for this one. A wicked prince. The Prince of Envy has never claimed to be a saint, but when he is drawn out of his demon court and into a deadly game, he knows winning will take more than a hint of sin. A fallen painter. Camilla never thought she would lose herself to desire, but then a desperate mistake leaves her no choice but to enter into a bargain with envy, and it ignites a passion neither of them expect. Let the games begin. Now Envy and Camilla must journey through the underworld, from glittering demon courts to the sultry vampire realm and beyond, and avoid the most dangerous trap of all, falling in love. And then yes, there's a seductive standalone fantasy romance from the author of Kingdom of the Wicked. So I literally just finished this one 2 days ago. Yeah, I finished it on Thursday and we are now on Saturday. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, mixed feelings about this. I think if it wasn't part of kind of the universe of Kingdom of the Wicked, and if I didn't think in the future I would ever want to like revisit that whole universe, if it was purely just a standalone book, I don't think I would. Yeah, if it was ever just a standalone book, I don't think I would ever pick this back up again. It was really, how do I explain? I did get invested, I suppose. I got invested in the characters. But I'm not gonna lie, guys, there was just a bit too much spice for me. And like, I don't mind a bit of spice at all. But I feel like there was just a lot of plot missing. And there were also times when I was like it was enemies to lovers, but they like really hated each other. But then there were still spicy scenes at the point they were hating each other. And then they'd have like this spicy scene and then just like be like walk off, and I don't know, it's really hard to explain. But I mean, it does say there that they're playing a game, so it was kind of the premise that they both liked each other, but neither of them want the other one to know, so they're just spending the whole time playing a game. And like, but I just didn't really get on board with the I hate you, I can't stand you. But then like it was so obvious to both of them that both of them liked each other. And I don't know, I just couldn't get past it. And then like you'd have a bit of the plot, a bit of the storyline, and then there would just be like, I don't know. There just wasn't too much plot. I think, especially because it's such a long book, it was like, yeah, like 550 pages. I reckon you could have got rid of like a good chunk of this and have had a really good story with like sprinkles of spice, you know, a few of the spicy scenes. That's the thing, the actual scenes, I don't mind the level of spice it got to, it was just the vast sheer volume of them. Like, I think there was more spicy scenes than there was plot. That's what I'm trying to say, I think. I don't know if that is true, but that is how it felt. But it was a really good story. And again, I think because I'd read the other ones, it just felt so nice to be back in that universe, to see some characters that I have missed, to see what they were up to now. And the actual characters, again, I did really like. It made me laugh again. There was humour in it. There were some high stakes. There was points where like my heart was absolutely racing. So again, by no means was it bad. I just think if it was completely standalone, wouldn't pick this up again. But yeah, probably just depends. If you're looking for another like fantasy romancy read, go for it. I think you would like it. But if you've already got a load of stuff on your TBR, you're struggling to keep up with books, you've got plenty of stuff to read, I wouldn't be too fussed. And again, I don't want to be too repetitive with my ratings. I'm like on a 3.5 for this. I'm trying to compare with the Familiar that I just did 3.5. Again, I think if this was, like I say, standalone, I'd probably be on a 2.5, 3. but I'm tempted to go 3.5 purely because I think I might read it again as part of the series. Go 3.5 now. Anyway guys, probably wraps this one up. I'm looking at the time on how long I've been filming. Been going for like 27 minutes almost. Obviously there'll be a bit of editing, it will cut it down a bit, but to be honest I think that's quite a good length of time for a video, so I might film my December TBR as a separate one. I might literally, while I'm in the flow, go grab that now, film it, so you'll see the same outfit if you watch both. But I just think that is better than one really long video, and it just means, especially throughout December, I can sprinkle in a few more extra videos, hopefully, fingers crossed, if I can get them uploaded and edited in time. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this one. Let me know if you've read any of these books, what you thought. If you've got anything based off this you think I would like, any recommendations, please, please, please let me know. And yeah, if you can give the video a like and the channel a subscribe, I would really, really appreciate that, guys. I hate asking it all the time and begging, but it would just really, really help, be really appreciated. And otherwise, I hope you are having a lovely day, a lovely evening, whatever it is that you're up to, whatever time of day it is that you are watching this, and I will see you next time.